Hello.
Hi, Charlie.
Hello, Tina. Hello, Richard.
Hello there. Hi.
How are you? It very much looks like a standard Victorian terrace. I mean, you really wouldn't notice that anything had been done.
No. I mean, I suppose that was one of the aims, wasn't it? To keep it, quite low key.
So you loved your house as it was, but it just wasn't working well enough for you as a kind of a warm home.
Yes, I mean, we liked the way it looked, but the way it was performing, it was, we were getting mould on the walls because the walls were damp because they were cold, and that was just fairly horrible.
So what are the main moves that you made?
Well, we've done quite a lot of things over several years, but mostly it's been insulation. So we've insulated under the floor, we've insulated the walls outside and internally. We've also added things like renewables, so we've got solar photovoltaics generating electricity, and we've got solar hot water as well.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because I think a lot of people think is, if I do the loft and I do the windows, whew, we're done, aren't we? It's going to be nice and warm. But actually what they don't realise is that the heat gets lost through the floor, the heat gets lost through the walls. And in these old Victorian cottages where there's a suspended timber floor, you're literally, the only insulation you've got is a bit of 20mm wood or something that, isn't it?
Yeah,
So, I mean,
that's
right. Where a lot of the heat goes.
Yeah, when we moved in, there was a kind of manky old brown carpet, so we took that up because we like to expose the floorboards like people do. Yeah. And then you had floorboards and then fresh air, and that was where and
you get the Marilyn Monroe moment where the wind's blowing up your trouser leg and like, ooh.
It was that's right. And we made desperate attempts to kind of fill the gaps, but it really didn't work.
And so the strategy in terms of the external insulation was to go outside on the flank walls where it didn't impact the look of the house, but then to come inside on the kind of the more ornamental brickwork.
Yeah, that's right.
And it comes round to here. So if you can hear that's insulated.
Yes.
That isn't insulated. So you have to have that return covered. Otherwise, you have this problem with a cold
kind of leaking down the brickwork, and then you get mould where that bit of heat, that heat is being lost.
Exactly.
What kind of insulation did you use on the building?
Well, we've got some examples here. So this is what we used. It's a wood fibre insulation.
It's fantastic. And what I love about using this material is completely breathable, so you get moisture movement through it, like you do in old buildings. Mm-hmm. And all the CO2 that the tree has sucked out of the atmosphere is locked away in your house, hopefully for hundreds of years. I mean, this is one of my favourite kinds of insulation. I'm a big fan of that. And how have you found the thermal improvements from the work that you've done?
Well, there's the touch and feel type aspect of it, that it just feels, the external wall feels warm. I mean, it's February today, you just wouldn't think it was an external wall particularly. Because
you've managed to match all of the cornicing in, so you can't even really see that it's been changed from that sort of, which is sometimes a bit of a giveaway.
That's right, that would have been, that wouldn't have looked good, would it? If we just had the cornice obviously was already there in the rest of the house, but, or in the rest of the room rather. But yeah, we got someone who came in just in an afternoon, and
an artisan,
sculptor. Truly,
it
was beautiful to watch actually. Yes, and he just basically sculpted it. Yeah, and you just wouldn't, you can't see the join. Yeah.
I think that's the key, isn't it? When you go onto this journey, is that the people you're working with, you can really trust their opinion, because it's not an exact science there. It's not an exact science like building a house from scratch. I think if we do that, it's going to work. Overlap the insulation. How are we going to deal with the drafts under the floor and keep the breathability?
Yeah, I think both the builders and also as a client, both sides have got to recognise that it's a bit of an unknown quantity. Yeah. So when they took up our floor, it was a horror story underneath, and probably you would have guessed that would be the case. But the original plan had to change because the joists were in too bad a state. Rather than to repair them, they had to replace them all. So both sides had to accept that was a change that was going to happen. So I think being as a client, you've got to be reasonable, and from the builder, you want a builder that really is, sort of bought into that idea that they aren't going to just go in and just do the set job.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit vague when you move into it. Yeah. I think a lot of people get very focused on sort of payback, on the commercial payback. How much for you was it about reducing bills, and how much for you was it about the quality of the space in which you live?
It wasn't really that much about reducing the bills. I mean, it was about reducing our energy use because, we had quite a strong environmental motivation to do this work. And it was important to us that that side succeeded, that it did actually save energy, which it has, but it's also made it more comfortable. It can be the same temperature in the whole house, and that's not using too much energy, and that's really nice, not being suddenly, I'm a bit too hot, I'm a bit too cold, all of that.
And it's just more pleasant to be in a cosy home.